Well, in Chicago, we have about 2 million Hispanics. That represents 21% of the entire population. That's the Chicago DMA, with the buying power of about 32 billion. That's pretty incredible.
Latinos in Chicago are a very young demographic. I think if you look at the Chicago public schools, 1 out of every 5 students is Latino. If you look at new births in Illinois, 1 out of every 3 is Latino is in the entire state.
Well, I came here in 75, and back then, all along Grand Road, Dundee Road were, one-way, 2-lane road, and it was a lot of farms everywhere. And then it was a few Mexicans, because there were some Hispanics, but I related more to Mexicans. But then in the late 80s, as you may know, amnesty came about from Reagan. And most of the people got their immigration documents in the early 90s. And I started petitioning their relatives. And we just exploded population of Mexicans in this area.
Chicago has traditionally been kind of like a hub for immigrants. And you see that in areas like Little Village and Pilsen and different areas in Waukegan and up in the suburbs in Aurora. What has happened now over time is that a lot of the people who immigrated here maybe 10, 15 years ago are starting to have families, are starting to buy bigger homes, buying appliances, buying the minivan. I really believe that it's very similar to the growth of the baby boomers for the Latino market.
I think our community really still, as versus maybe the general market, to have a paper in their hands and to see the pictures and to read about the sports that is not covered in any other media as detail.
Well, Chicago, to me, is one of the most dynamic cities. As a culture for African Americans, it is the mecca for almost everything, as it is in Chicago, so it soon will be everywhere else.
The DuSable Museum is the oldest and longest running African American history museum in the United States. We are almost 53 years old, and we were founded by a woman named Dr. Margaret Burroughs and some of her associates who felt the need and knew there was a need to tell the stories of the contributions of African Americans to our history, to realize that in fact African American history is American history. Well, the African American press is also a part of our history. Without it, so many of our stories still would not get told. The mainstream press often talks about some sensational stories, but the everyday accomplishments of our people, our celebrations, the things we do, it's the black press that gets those stories out. They're very important to us because they cover what we do, what we have, our special programs, our celebrations. Often would go unnoticed were it not for the black press.
I love the way it tells our story. I love the way it celebrates our heroes. I like the way it communicates what's going on in the neighborhood and around the neighborhood and in the city of Chicago. I don't think there is a community organization, in my opinion, who should not latch on to a reputable newspaper like The Citizen in that partnership to make sure that their voices are heard.
And not only just in this city, in the country, period. I believe the role of Black press is to be able to tell the story of our own people. For so long, we have had others attempt to tell our story, and it's always not always a fair story. We, as Black press, we are charged with the duties to tell the story exactly like it is. We speak the language that our people understand. It's made it easy. It's made it easy. We have become, in this community, the ears and the eyes of the community, and therefore we tell the story exactly like we see it.